mom and pop with the 401k or a pension have a investment in SLV or GLD, they're not going to get a dime of that gold. They're going to get told, well, you messed out. We only had X amount and we were naked 20. So the person who has the most exposure and is the biggest buyer is going to get the gold. You're not going to get shit.
You're listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, where you get valuable information you just can't find anywhere else. To thrive in today's trying times, you need the Financial Survival Network, now more than ever. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and get your free newsletter and gift. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.
And welcome. You are listening to and watching the Financial Survival Network. I'm your host, Kerry Lutz. Got a really interesting couple of guys on. I met them at the Rick Rule conference, the Rick Rule Resource Symposium, and really interesting. I love when younger people get involved in this space because, look, I'm old. I've done my thing. I'm still doing it. But in order to get the younger generation educated and empowered, you need to start thinking differently. These guys run a site called Piggos Trading Desk. That's Piggo''S Trading Desk. And guys, great to have you on the show. Introduce yourselves, please.
Well, I'm Derek, and this is Tony, my brother. We host Piggos Trading Desk. We are pretty much average American working men. I work still at a regular place, and I also do the trading with my brother. He's been trading since he was 24. Let's talk a little bit about myself.
Yeah, I started trading at 24. I was classically trained in Austrian economics in China. And, I've built my own strategy over the years where I utilize a vortex indicator and I have a sheep indicator based on how many, for example, people are gullible to the bullshit propaganda they spew on TV. So the highest you can get is a 4 and the lowest you can get is a 1.
Well, you know what they say, sheeple who need sheeple are the leftiest sheeple in the world.
Exactly.
Barbara Streisand sang that, a song, right? Didn't she? Sheeple who need sheeple. But anyway, okay. So you were in China and you learned about Austrian economics?
Yeah, it's a funny story, actually. My ex's dad owned one of the hedge funds in China, one of the biggest ones in Beijing. And he taught me classical economics when I lived there for 2 years.
Wow. Most hedge fund guys will not even admit that they heard of Ludwig von Mises, let alone espouse Austrian economics, because their whole business model works because of the inefficiencies created by the Federal Reserve and central planning.
Yes.
And me, I learned about Austrian economics through listening through guys like you and Mario and Echo. That's where I first started learning about it. And then I started doing research on it and actually reading on it myself.
Yeah, well, back when I was in college, I discovered Milton Friedman, Free to Choose. That was his special on PBS of all shows, all stations. Yeah. They would never show that series on PBS again because basically it made the case for free markets and that a place like Hong Kong with free markets can prosper, have huge, wealthy standard of living, and basically that most of the problems, he used to say, if there's a problem in the world, I could tell you exactly where it came from, the government. And, I wouldn't say all problems are created by the government, but it's not where problems don't go to die with the government. They go to get institutionalized.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And, in terms of free market capitalism, we haven't had that in the U.S. in a very long time. And this whole top-down control started with the Hanseatic League back in the 1200s, where you had them controlling the market from the top down for the oligarchs.
Well, one thing is most people are just going to go along with everything, right?
Yeah.
We've never had a population of critical thinkers. Normally, I was just reading about Socrates because that's Martin Armstrong's pet AI. And, some article popped up about his trial. Basically, he was a troublemaker and things were really bad. So he became a scapegoat and they killed him. And his whole thing was he was a disruptor. He wanted younger people to be critical thinkers, think for themselves. Now, instead of that, they just get suppressed by algorithms and sent into the made to sit in a corner with a hat on that says you're a dunce, right? That's what algorithmic suppression does to you. Have you encountered any blowback from our tech overlords?
I feel like we are. Some of our videos don't get a lot of views. One in particular right now, we've joined like a pretty much, I guess you call it a movement, a fight against naked shorts with Terry Lynch. And his video, it didn't get, I think it's on Substack, it says it's got 0 views and it's got way more views than that. We've actually watched people watch it and it still doesn't get any views. So I do believe we are being soiled from the Lord.
Substack is not going to suppress. I've never heard of that yet. In fact, a lot of the people who are on Substack are professional journalists who've basically been persecuted. But what I will tell you is that, once you go out of that little nurturing environment, anything is possible there. So what's your YouTube channel, by the way?
Piggo Trading Desk.
Right.
Yeah, we are getting suppressed on there. Some of our videos, they get like 18 views and I think it has to do with the titling that we use, because we use kind of like black pill narration titling. I was a screenwriter in my early years, and I like to really be dramatic.
He likes to clickbait.
Yeah,
it doesn't work.
As we were discussing, that's not always your best. You have to outthink it. So so I'm looking at I can tell you right now. Oh yeah, you're in no man's land, man. The algorithm has got you basically has put you sentenced you to Siberia.
Yeah. Gulag.
Yeah, you're in the gulag. You're in the algorithmic gulag, never to be heard from again. But I'll tell you some ways to work on that, because I have one channel. All my channels have suffered suppression or lack of distribution, shall we say, over the years. But there are ways to get over that. So how else do you get your message out? You've got a website, right? Piggos.
We have a Substack.
Right.
We do Substack. We write an article like every other day. Basically, we republish an article. I think so far we have how many articles? Like over
like 99 articles, I believe.
Yeah, you getting some play there?
Yeah, we got 152 subscribers, 1,100 followers, and we're getting some good views.
Just some of our views, like our videos, are not getting views on there. That, like I told you, the one from Terry Lynch, that one, like I literally watched somebody watch it, and it's still showing, I believe, 0. It's not really showing anybody watching it at all. And that one's strictly on naked shorts.
Yeah, well, that is more a function of Substack's lagginess. It's not, they're not suppressing anything legitimately, because I know I have X number of subs who've signed up recently, and they're 50 behind. It's just works that way. So as far as market philosophy goes, how do you guys, are you in stocks, precious metals, crypto? What's your thing?
So I'll answer that one. I trade everything. I'm a pretty technical trader. I like gold and silver. We buy gold and silver. We stack it, platinum, palladium, even copper bullion. We like that, rhenium as well. We believe that you need fungible assets in your portfolio. We also hold stocks, mostly right now, miners. We have some short positions that we just closed out, and we hit on those last week. We felt the market pullback was coming based on the vortex. We're trading in Brazil right now. We've made some good money there. India, it's had a pullback, but I expect it to go up higher, especially with the tariffs. And also, we have China exposure. I've been bullish on China since 2012. And We do trade crypto right now. I have a position in XLM. I got in at 37 cents. That was my target price. That 37.39. I hit 37. So I bought at 39. I bought at 37. And then with H bar, I'm waiting and holding off. I want it to hit 20 cents. I'll get in and ride it for the next leg up.
Okay. Well, what's your take on Bitcoin?
We're not big Bitcoin fans. We're more like the gold and silver and stuff like that. I mean, we see Bitcoin more as like a trading asset. We don't really necessarily like invest in Bitcoin. If we do invest in Bitcoin, it's like what he said, a short position. Like we do ETFs, short position ETFs on Bitcoin and stuff like that. We don't really invest in Bitcoin. We have before, but we've kind of stopped now.
Well, here's the thing. I recommend to you type it into any of your AIs and ask them for the case for Bitcoin. There's upcoming short squeeze. We're in the midst of it now of Bitcoin. Serious short squeeze because all these ETFs are gobbling up as many coins as they can get. They, billions of dollars a week, some weeks go into those ETFs. Last Friday, they puked out like 830 million worth of Bitcoin to drive the market down. But at the same time, who's buying these coins? This is like really interesting. So I think it's going up to 8 figures over time because that's the only thing that they can use to stabilize the upcoming financial system. I love gold, don't get me wrong, and silver, but I think that there's too much, just more gold is coming into the system, all right? And I don't think we'll ever have enough, but we're never going to have the shortage of gold like we have of Bitcoin. And maybe it'll go up to 5,000, maybe it'll go up to 10, but I don't think it's going up to 10 million unless the value of the dollar becomes worthless. Anyway, so how do you manage risk?
Well, I manage risk by watching the technicals. Like I look for a head and shoulders pattern, inverse head and shoulder, bear flag, just technical trading. And whenever we have a formation I don't like, or even if the vortex is telling me the trigger based on the selling pattern when it's descending down in a wedge, I usually trade out and take some profits. And if I feel like it could ride out for a little more, I'll keep some house money in there, but I'll just usually take a little bit off the top. I try to take 30% off the top whenever I get the opportunity each time and reinvest that into some silver or usually inverse ETF or something like that.
Yeah. So you're big on taking your profits when you find them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
We never used to do that. We used to hold longer, but we just started doing that recently, part of the last year.
Yeah. I made a stupid choice in there. Like I bet on eHang for the longest time. I bought eHang with a $7.89 and it hit like $114. Now, instead of me taking profit at $114, I was like, it's going to 200. Short seller report came out from Hindenburg. It plummeted.
Showed it. Yeah.
But I did cash out part of it at $80, but it was my greed that stopped me. I learned my lesson from that.
Well, you have to be in control of your emotions, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's here.
How you control your emotions. That is the conundrum for any active trader, right?
Yes. Yeah. Now we deep dive in the companies. Like, for example, we've had 4 10-baggers this year. We bought TMC at 72 cents. We sold a lot of that off when it hit $8. And I just based it on like the whole company it's a failure idea. Like you can't deep sea mine. That's not going to work at all. It's a horrible idea. This is more of a short squeeze play in order to just create some liquidity and to create some profit.
It's a GameStop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So me knowing that, I took my profits when I had the chance. And even with a company like Big Bear AI, I bought Big Bear AI at $1.18 and I sold it at $10 because I knew the whole idea of it was nonsense. Like it's not going to work. And it's such a small micro cap AI company that it's going to be either merger and acquisition or it's going to fail. So my baseline was I'll let it get to X amount of dollars. If it hits, I'll cash out and I'll keep a small position. If it breaks 5% in a day, liquidate it because that 5% tells me an ominous pattern that something bad's coming.
Yeah, well, I'm not a good trader. All right, I know it. So I have to take a longer horizon because, I just emotionally, temperamentally, I'm just not set up to do it. But that's why, in some ways, buying gold and silver was like the best thing ever, because even though you want to sell it, it's a real pain to sell. I got to go to my car, hope that nobody, I have to go find it where it's parked, get it, and then transport it. And I would just as soon not bother with it. So I don't. And that's like, it's the ultimate buy and hold asset because you can always sell it. It's not a big deal. I've sold some in the past to pay for taxes, weddings, bar mitzvahs, but that's the only reason I did. Not because I wanted it to. And so you can always sell it, but it's always a pain to sell it. That's why people go to ETFs, and who knows if they have it. What's your feeling about GLD, SLV? They sitting on all that gold and silver, or is it vaporware?
Yeah.
Vapor metal.
It's vaporware. Only if they do have any, it's going to go to the big cats because they get to stand for delivery before any small timers do. Like if mom and pop with the 401k or a pension have a investment in SLV or GLD, they're not going to get a dime of that gold. They're going to get told, well, you messed up. We only had X amount and we were naked 20. So the person who has the most exposure and is the biggest buyer is going to get the gold. You're not going to get shit. You'll get a paper certificate, if anything, from the SDIC, but you won't get no physical gold. You'll just get some paper contract or some BS that they're going to generate. Maybe a stable coin to cover it now because that's the new way of doing it, right?
Yeah.
Well, we prefer the physical because if you don't hold it, you don't own it. You need the physical.
Yep. So true, man. So true. I'm a big believer in physical. I've been buying silver below spot. I mean, well, it was below spot last week, but after they crashed silver, it's probably close to spot, and it's so easy to do. Some of it I bought at 30 or 40% below spot, if you can believe it. So
I can.
hey, you'll have to go to my Substack and I'll be writing an article about it, and I'll throw the link here and you can come find out. But seriously, guys, so looking ahead, world economy, the United States, geoglobal tensions, confrontations, war cycle, according to Martin Armstrong. We're in the midst of it through 2025 or 6. What's your take on things? Where do you see things going?
So for me, I see with Trump putting the nuclear, the submarines right there, and then the gravity bombs inside UK. But I watch oil, and oil is at I think $66 today. So it looked like it didn't go up really at all, which I think when he put the submarines over there first, it went up to 70. So I don't think we're going to war anytime soon. I think that all this stuff that they're doing with Russia and all that, I don't think it's going to lead to war anytime soon. But I am with Martin. I do believe we are going to a war. I've always been saying for the last 5-6 years now that I believe we're going to be in a civil war and a world war at the same time. I think there'll be a civil war in the United States and a world war going on at the same time. I don't know if that's actually going to play out. I do see it could play out. I do see the MAGA movement and the liberals. I feel like it could play out with that, but I don't know that it will. But I do see us going into a world war. Whether it turns nuclear, I don't know, but I do think it will be a world war. And I do think there's going to be a lot of life loss by 2032, like what Martin says. I think that
with the AI now, a lot of people aren't needed. Their labor is unnecessary. I don't know what those people are going to do.
Yeah, that's true. And my take's a little more brutal than his. I'm a little darker, but I do believe we're going to see an escalation in war, at least between proxies in August. We're going to see probably in the Middle East an escalation, and somewhat in Ukraine, and we may see a remaining conflict in India and Pakistan in August, and in November we'll see an escalation, and by January I see at least one tactical nuke being deployed based on the current solar cycle. Before, this used to be really common knowledge of the 1800s, sunspot theory. And essentially, we are going through sunspot theory. And, I don't know why they stopped teaching this, but it's essentially when we start cannibalizing ourselves in order to stay warm. It's winter time, so we start tearing panels off the house and throwing it in the fireplace. Sure, you stay warm, but your house is now a vacant shell. And for next winter, you don't have nothing to burn. You burn through it all because you're just trying to stay warm for this winter.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to be laughing. It's not funny, but but your analogy is funny. I think spot on. But my whole life, I'm got a few years on you guys. I remember duck and cover. Okay, we used to go into the auditorium, and I didn't even understand it. I was in kindergarten, and we'd take our coats, our jackets, and put them over us, and we'd bend down, put our heads under the chair in front of us, and that was duck and cover. And that was going to protect us when they dropped the bomb. So the point is, my whole life, it's been one threat after the next. I'm immune at this point. Like, plus I'm older than you. My kids are grown. I'm just not worrying about it. Like, one thing that I preach, if that's the right term, is live your best life. You know?
Yeah.
Do not make your happiness subject to something happening outside of you, whether it's government, whether it's family. Yeah, you want to be happy. You want your family to be happy, but your internal state of happiness is where everything begins and ends. So my law partner used to say, Kerry, the situation is hopeless, but never serious. And I find myself repeating that phrase over and over and over again. Guys, where do we find you? How do we connect with you on the web?
You can find us at Piggos Trading Desk, and that'll be either on piggostradingdesk.com. You can find us at Piggos Trading Desk on YouTube, Piggos T, I think it's Piggos_T_desk on X. We're also on Instagram at Piggos Trading Desk and on Substack at Piggos Trading Desk.
Any social media podcast, pretty much just Piggos Trading Desk, and it'll pop up.
Very cool. All right. Well, I'm following you on Substack. Everybody out there, follow them on Substack. To me, Substack is the greatest platform that I've ever seen in my life. It covers so many bases, from email manager to posting your videos, your podcasts, to articles, to monetization, so many things. I can't say enough good things about that platform, even though when I first came across it, I didn't really get its power, but it's evolved. It keeps getting better. Yes, there are rough edges. Analytics, not the best. They're a little simplistic, but you got to understand, it's not for you and me, those analytics. That's for, a guy like Matt Taibbi, who doesn't know what a CTR is, or, or views. He doesn't know any of that stuff. It's like he looks, oh, I got views, I'm okay. He doesn't understand any of it. That is the average Substack user. They worked for other media, and then they're doing Substack now. Well, guys, appreciate you coming on. You got any questions for my buddies here? Shoot me an email, kl@kerrylutz.com. We will talk to you guys again. Be well.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks for listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, your solution to today's trying times. For the latest, go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.